Good afternoon. Welcome on in to From Day One. The court cases are ready, and we start today with some crazy court lovely situations.
First 5 and 6 on the supplemental. People versus Jeremy Shue, 19378 FH, 18855 FH.
Jessica Blanche, parent of approval.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Stuart Collis on behalf of Mr. Your Honor, may we approach?
Briefly, yes. All right. Today's the date and time set for arraignment on these violations. So, Mr. Shue, the only thing that you need to know is that you are being arraigned on violations of your probation. As far as the arraignment purpose is concerned, you just need to understand that if you were found guilty of the violations, you could be sentenced to the maximum for the underlying charge. So this goes back to what you were originally charged with, not necessarily just compounding probation violations. So it's possible that you could be sentenced to 10 years incarceration because that would be count number 12 in that is the highest, I think, sentence that you were facing. So that's kind of where we are today, sir. You have the right to have a hearing. I'll hold on. You have the right to have a hearing. And at that hearing, Mr. Collis will represent you. You can call witnesses. You can question those witnesses. The prosecutor must prove by preponderance of the evidence that you did violate the terms of your probation. And so that is what happens at that hearing. And that is what is going to happen next week on October 19th at 1:30. I'll give you a brief question, Mr. Shue, but we're not taking a lot of time today to talk. You're on mute.
Oh, the idiot doesn't know how to unmute?
All I wanted to say, sir, is you told me at the October 3rd hearing that if for some reason TRICAP couldn't accommodate my medical issues, which I have, I'm going to back up so you can see. I'm currently
Mr. Shue, I am absolutely not going to listen to this. There is no question that TRICAP would have accommodated you yesterday.
They didn't have a walker or wheelchair, sir.
Okay. Well, we'll have to take that up next week at your violation of probation hearing, which will be at 1:30. You are remanded until that hearing. I will see you back here next. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Yep.
Numbers 24 and 25. People versus Jeremy Shue, 19378 FH, 18855 FH.
Jessica Blanche, parent of approval.
Jessica Blanche wanting to
For the record, Your Honor, Stuart Collis on behalf of Mr. Shue. Mr. Shue, would you state your name for the record?
Mr. Shue, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
All right. We have Agent Benetti here, correct, also?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here. Could we have a brief bench conference?
Sure.
Thank you.
This guy's weird. Please, Your Honor.
I just want to see if any of my moves are by chance. I got a few phone numbers on there. Guest, straight out there, all traditional people. Attorney Joe Hall, Attorney Nicole James, Nicole's iPad, Trevon Jackson. People with phone numbers on there, they're supposed to put their names on there. Is there
How about you shut the fuck up while they're doing stuff?
The rest of them are victim dry egg fits.
Hey, Gibbs, press mute.
All right, we are back on the record in People versus Jeremy Daniel Shue, case number 18855 FH, 19378 FH, I believe also 19379 FH.
They do all three.
Just two. I think just two of those. So it's actually the 378 FH and the 855 FH. Record should reflect bench conference with probation, the prosecutor, and the defense attorney in this matter. The probation officer requested the bench conference to discuss the new allegations of violating probation with the incident, I'm just going to call it the incident that occurred at TRICAP. and how that was going to be kind of handled in terms of the prior pleas as well as the technical violations, non-technical violations. I brought up, and so I'll put this on the record, that the defendant filed a pro per motion for reconsideration and immediate hearing on the motion. And so I was explaining to counsel, and I'll explain this to you, Mr. Shu, what I won't allow are kind of our parties to pick and choose what they file versus what their lawyer files. So when someone has a lawyer, they've got to consult with their lawyer and come up with what is going to be filed on their behalf, unless and until they don't have a lawyer, in which case they can file their own stuff. And so what I explained to Mr. Collis off the record, and I'll explain it to you on the record now, is that you filed obviously an incredibly articulated motion. It was like 17 pages long, in terms of seeking reconsideration for your pleas on this matter. And if that's something that's appropriate for me to hear, I got to have Mr. Collis file that for you. So I'm not going to hear that. Plus, Ms. Blanche reported that she hadn't received a copy of that. So anything filed with the court has to be served to both the prosecutor and the defense attorney filing it. So, and the court. So I couldn't even consider it anyway if I didn't, even if I wanted to. So,
Your Honor, may I respond to that?
Sure, briefly.
All I wanted to say with that is I'm obviously incarcerated. I don't have the ability to put the mail in the mailbox. Ms. Blanche says she didn't receive it. I don't know why she didn't receive it. I sent it out. If you look at the service on that, I state that I sent it out. I believe that the mailbox rule applies, and I'm not trying to contest what the court is saying about Mr. Collis filing or not filing. I've spoken to Mr. Collis a couple times about filing stuff for me. Even yesterday when he decided to come up and see me at 8 o'clock at night about this case, I spoke to him about requesting material that he hasn't requested. I spoke to him about requesting witnesses that he hasn't requested. I also made contact with family members about retaining counsel, which is a very good possibility as of now. I don't know if they had opportunity to get counsel retained. I would respectfully ask the court, depending on what the court intends to do today with the bench conference or whatever, if worst case scenario, if we can adjourn this so I can have the ability to at least try to obtain counsel that's going to be more effective for myself, because I haven't even had a 24-hour notice of this hearing.
Okay. Well, I mean, that you've asked for what I'm willing to grant, because that was basically how I left the conference off the record, was that there seems to be some things that are not entirely resolved. So I saw your notice, your proof of service, but again, Ms. Blanche said she hasn't received it.
Okay.
So all I'm saying is that I can't proceed on your motion without your lawyer filing it, or if you don't have a lawyer, you can then file on your own behalf. And you said to me that you're trying to get retained counsel, which is fine. So what I can do then is I can adjourn this 2 weeks to November 1st of 2022. But at that time, I think we're going to fish or cut bait. So I think that November 2nd, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, yeah.
But I think at that time we're going to fish or cut bait, as they say, and we're going to have the violation of probation hearing. If in fact your lawyer, either Mr. Collis or retained counsel, files the motion for reconsideration or renotices that, we can have that on the record that day too, so we can take care of it at that time. If it's not filed by a lawyer, though, or you still have a lawyer, I'm not going to consider that, and we're going to proceed with the hearing, and we'll see what happens. In addition, if there are any other violations or anything else, those can be considered at that time. Okay?
Your Honor, may I say something briefly?
Yes, briefly, yes.
Okay, I completely apologize, sir.
No, you don't.
You don't need to apologize. You're good.
You gave the opportunity of subpoenaing witnesses at the October 3rd hearing. You also directed me on the record to remind you that if I was terminated from the program based on medical issues, that this would be something that wouldn't be a violation. I specifically addressed the court about the medical issues and or legal issues, specifically law library.
Right, but I gotta tell you, Mr. Shu, we're getting into stuff that isn't even been really, like, it's not on the table. So what I was referring to as the TRICAP issue, like, you're starting to speak now to maybe what happened there, and that's on the table as a violation right now, and we're not really at a position, we're not having that hearing right now.
I completely understand, Your Honor, and that wasn't the intent.
You don't.
You just directed me on the record on the 3rd, which the officer that was present at the court hearing is standing right here to remind you of that. That's
the officer is right there to remind me of that?
No, I said the officer that was present at court for the hearing is standing here.
Okay.
I said you direct me on record to remind you of that if you did not.
Right.
That was all.
Right. So I don't know, but I don't know the truth. We have had no evidence on what actually happened other than the alleged violation. So this is the whole thing about you're innocent until proven guilty. The standard of proof is preponderance of the evidence. There's no evidence before me. All I know is what's been alleged about you. So you're telling me kind of right now that you're reminding me about the medical issues. We are not even there yet. So I don't know what happened. I know what has been reported what happened. That what has been reported doesn't sound medical to me or law library related. But I don't know the truth of any of this because I don't have anybody under oath telling me what happened. So we are a little premature in this. So I'm going to adjourn all of this to November 2nd at 1:30, and we'll take it all up at that time.
One issue before you do that. I know that in our bench conference it was brought up that at least by probation, because I have not seen Mr. Shu's motion for reconsideration, that he filed it alleging essentially coercion and other things that I have allegedly done. I'm obviously not going to file a motion of that nature. I believe the plea was taken appropriately. I know that Mr. Shu also indicated yesterday that he wanted to fire me. I don't know what Your Honor wants to do with that, but it does raise an issue that I think needs to be addressed before that November 2 hearing.
Well, again, I'm not going to do an oral motion for you to withdraw, and I understand why you may feel that way, but we'll schedule that issue on the 2nd as well. Mr. Shu has indicated he may have retained counsel by then, so it could just be a substitution of counsel. So that would be fine. So, Mr. Shu, if you hire a lawyer, your lawyer can prepare the paperwork to substitute for Mr. Collis, and you'll have a new lawyer. Okay?
One last thing, Your Honor, and I understand you're busy, and I apologize again, sir.
No, you don't.
If retained counsel does come in, will once they're able to file the appearance, will they be able to have adequate opportunity to prepare it?
Yes, in the sense adequate, Mr. Shu. They may, we certainly wouldn't adjourn this weeks and weeks out because it's a violation of probation.
I understand.
But I would certainly not make brand new counsel step in on their first day and do something. So we would be keeping this on a fairly prompt schedule, and I know that you're eager to resolve it too because you're still in custody. So we're going to try to keep it moving as quickly as we can.
All right, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
All right. See you back here on the 2nd. Yep.
Unfortunately, that's the end, as you heard, because the next case isn't till November 2nd. So, let's go ahead and take a very weird harassment.
Mr. Voorhees, could you come on up here, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
You go ahead and take a seat. Do you mind taking your hat off, please?
I will keep it on for
That ain't what I asked.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, no, I said that's fine. Yeah, I did not recognize that as a religious hat, and so that's totally fine if you want to keep it on for religious purposes. I'm fully aware of the precedent. I fully
A
endorse
baseball
your right
cap
to do that,
is
and I have
not
zero problem with that.
a religious
So,
cap.
Mr. Voorhees, you had indicated that you filed a petition against someone named Isaac Hawks Ingberts. This individual who's in front of me now, who said he was served with this paperwork, that's not him. And so, who are you, sir?
This social security card right here, Abraham Isaac Akiva Ghost Dance Black Hawk Calaveras. Here's my bank card.
Okay.
Credit union,
So I just wanted to know your name.
My driver's license, BA. So it calls into question, how did this individual get this information? Because when I filed the formal complaint with UPS, following his death threats, racial epithets, him calling me here, telling me he was going to come and kill me, you fucking nigger.
Whoa. Macho,
I'm just going to slow you down here for just a second, right? I'm just trying to figure out whether we have the right people in court right now, okay? And if we do, and if he's mistaken about your name and things of that sort, then we'll proceed with the case. If not, if he needs to refile it or adjust the name to, if you're the person he's talking about, but he got the wrong name, you can deal with that. And if there's somebody else and he's got you by mistake, then we'll deal with that. And that's all I'm trying to figure out right now as to whether or not you're the person he's talking about, what your proper name is, and whether we can go forward today or not. If we do go forward for today, then we'll get into all the things that you're talking about right now.
Racists should not be allowed to target people and use their UPS access to scrape what they believe to be residents' information. Even in his filing, he said some person named Isaac. He has no descriptors, no history, no nothing. There are no descriptive details whatsoever. He's not able to identify me whatsoever. This is not a tweaker, Your Honor. He referred to me as a tweaker. I had a much larger bandage following the amputation of his hand. I will unwrap his hand and show you.
Please don't. Please don't.
I think it's critically important, Your Honor.
Okay,
I think it is critically important.
Please don't take your bandage off.
Someone said that I was waving a gun around. As a veteran, I can assure you, Your Honor, there is no weapon inside the U.S. military weapons inventory or that law enforcement has that you can use, load, and fire with only one hand. And this is my dominant right hand. I've had a 20% amputation of not only the middle finger extending all the way down here.
So
you can look at the paperwork that I signed. It looks like a drunk person signed it because I had to sign it with my left hand. I'm not capable. I am not a threat.
Okay, please put your Band-Aid back on. Mr. Voorhees, is this the individual that you wish to have a petition against?
It is, Your Honor, and his name is, in fact, Isaac Ingberts, and it has been confirmed through his apartment property management. That is how I gained his information with his first and last name.
Okay.
It is the policy of our apartment complex that they do not release under no circumstances names of residents. The only one that would be able to get that would be a police officer. There would have needed been a crime. There was no crime. No police officer got that. If I may approach the bench, Your Honor,
Not yet. No, you may not right now.
No.
Okay.
These are my names. These are my legal formal documents.
So, all right. So, here's what's going to happen here for right now. So right now, you can put your bandage on, please.
I'm trying, but I only have one hand drawn.
Okay.
And if you can imagine loading, racking a weapon, posing a threat with a gun, which I do not own or possess.
Dude, you're
according to the police, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Voorhees, just be quiet.
Yes, sir.
Quiet.
We're
going to go back in. This gentleman is going to go back in the courtroom. He's going to take a seat in the courtroom. And then we're going to take these other cases and we'll take up your case. We'll sort all this out.
Yes, Your Honor.
There's also a witness here, Your Honor.
Great. Then I will call. Who is your witness on Zoom?
Yes, David Malone.
All right. Okay. So, what is your name, sir?
Abraham Isaac Ghost Dance Black Hawk Calaveras.
Okay. Have you ever been known by? Give me just a second. In any capacity, does Isaac Hawks Ingberts?
Could you please explain the reason for the question, Your Honor?
I want to know if you're the right person.
That person was served paperwork.
Okay.
all of this from Social Security, driver's license, bank
Right.
card, and VA is not that person.
Right.
We should not be allowed to target, when we are racist individuals, to target people and go harass them and try to find out a name that is not the person's name. This all began by me filing, and I submitted it to the court, and unfortunately UPS spelled it wrong. They spelled it like Abaram. But I filed a complaint against him, and I didn't know his name, Chad Voorhees. I filed a complaint against him for death threats, racial epithets, and slurs on the 24th. I submitted that to the court. I spoke to a UPS driver to find out what's the process that I need to do to file a complaint against this person.
No, not this.
Told them, well, I filed this. I don't really know the individual's name or anything. The driver said, oh, yes, we have had problems with this employee.
Hearsay.
The person's name is Chad. So I go back to follow up. I've been in and out of surgery, for amputations, reconstructive surgery, etc. since the 10th, when I was a victim of a gunshot wound. I have not been able to follow up on this more because of that situation, because I didn't have the US DOT number, didn't have the license plate of the truck. I'd never seen Mr. Voorhees ever in my life. I've never seen him. I'm not his neighbor. There is multiple fences, a closed gate, 2 parking lots that separate our apartment complexes. When this individual says that he got this information...
Okay, so we're going to get to all that, right? I'm just trying to identify people and figure out
yes,
where they're right here.
This is who I am.
No, you may not approach.
But that doesn't answer my question.
Not be a racist that are targeting people, and that throw hate parties when citizens make complaints against them.
So you can sit down, please. I believe you, but what's going to happen then? He does have the right to bring a petition for right or for wrong, and I'll hear it.
No descriptive, and in his thing, Your Honor, it says no description. Some person named Isaac gives no description, tattoos, scars. Doesn't say what the person was wearing. Doesn't state ethnicity. There's nothing whatsoever. He then also states that a security guard said that an individual like me waving a gun around. No, there's no evidence. Where's that police report?
I've seen that. You don't need to do that again.
Well, it's important for me. Just doing it for me. You've asked other people to raise their right hand, so this is my right hand.
I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand in a minute as well. I'm going to have him raise his right hand. I'm going to listen to you both. You have Mr. Rolf Maloney here. I'll hear from him also.
David Maloney.
Yeah, but I think I'm sorry if I misidentified you. I apologize. On his screen, it says Rolf Maloney hyphenated. I assume that was your last name. If I'm wrong about that, is it Mr. Maloney or Mr. Rolf Maloney? Or I want to address. That's all I'm trying to do with you, sir. Is trying to figure out how to address you and figure out what your name is.
Yeah, my legal last name is Rolf Maloney.
Thank you. What do you prefer?
I go by Maloney. It's fine.
Okay.
What to do about nothing.
And so you, sir, and you said it, but I didn't write it down. I'm going to have you say it again. And what we're going to do is we'll go forward with this petition. We'll adjust the caption to change the name, because I want the name to be accurate in the caption in the petition.
Your Honor,
that's the point of my question.
To suggest the stalking and harassment from this individual, that they went and scraped a name that is not my name. That's what we need to focus on, Your Honor.
No, we don't.
To you what my name is. This individual went and scraped, is lying and says that he went to an apartment complex, etc. Those things all are indicative of stalking and harassment.
No.
That he was taking further steps to follow through on his threat to come over to my house and shoot you, you fucking...
Hey, Mike.
So the only thing here today is his petition.
I haven't been able to file petitions because the city of Olympia won't even let me file a petition against the person that shot me because I don't have their name, Your Honor.
You can file a petition here if you wish.
against the person that shot me.
This is the only thing in front of me. This is a civil case between you and Mr.
And then I
Voorhees.
haven't been able to also follow up because I've been in surgeries, reconstructive surgeries, amputation.
Is that your request to ask to file it?
He needs, yes, and I also want to file charges against filing a false police report.
Okay, so that again, that's not.
Those are criminal.
Targeting, harassment, death threats. I haven't been able to do that.
Okay.
Criminal.
Town when it comes to people that look like me. This individual never should have been able
so he who complains and says somebody's racist
is
actually racist
who actually I was, what I was dressed like, nothing. Yet I can tell you that he has a Belgian Malinois, which he threatened to sick on me. I can tell you his DOT plate number, etc. Witnesses that were there to even see. Mr. David Maloney was there. Chad was saying, "No, I'm not Chad. I'm not Chad. I'm not Chad." As he threw around his packages, came over to my apartment complex. If he's so afraid of me, Your Honor, what is he doing over at my apartment complex, delivering packages to my apartment complex?
Because he's got to for his job, maybe.
Because here is this white man who's calling me
racist boy,
saying that he's going to come over and kill me, threatening to stick his dog on me, and I was sitting there after amputation with an even bigger bandage on, clearly a threat to no one whatsoever. And this immediately followed after his employers talked to him about the complaint that was filed. And UPS has me on there with the correct name. They just spelled it wrong. They spelled it like Abram.
So I'm going to try and explain this to you as best I can.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
Okay? And
you referred to about gossip. Well, this is gossip and hearsay for this individual to be claiming. Oh, a security guard saw. Well, let's see.
I'm going to explain this to you as best I can, and hopefully we can get some common understanding of what's going to happen today.
Yeah,
what's going to happen going forward.
Honor.
So, again, I would ask you please to let me complete this explanation. Okay. So, Mr. Voorhees, if I'm saying his name correctly, he brought an anti-harassment petition against you, which he can do. And I have no idea how he got your name, but you clearly, based on what I've heard from him briefly, you're the person who's he has an issue with, for right or for wrong. And I'm not deciding right now whether he's right or he's wrong or not. I don't know that. And so the only thing in front of me here right now is his petition for an anti-harassment order. And the way these things work is I'll swear him in, I'll have him raise his right hand, and then I'll hear from him. I'll swear you in, and I've already heard a lot from you, but none of it's been under oath yet. But I'm going to swear you in. I'll hear all that again, your testimony. At the conclusion of that, I'll decide whether or not an order should be entered in favor of Mr. Voorhees. I'll also hear from Mr. Maloney. I'll swear him in, and then I'll get his perspective on what he saw and things of that sort. Following that, I make a determination as to whether or not an order should be entered with him on his behavior against you, basically just to have you not contact him. My purpose in asking you the questions about your name is because if an order is entered, it should be under the correct name for law enforcement going forward. And sometimes people change their names and for all kinds of reasons. They change their name when they get married, they change their name or what have you. And I'm asking you that just to see if that's, there's some basis for him to be mistaken about what your name is at the moment. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to figure out who's all here. So you have said some things you've been prevented. First of all, I'm sorry about, again, I'm not a doctor. That does look, as far as I'm concerned, and I have no idea about anything about this. But to me, to the untrained eye, that looks like a pretty fresh and pretty significant injury. I agree with that. But and pretty recent. But I don't know anything about that. And unless Mr. Please, remember what I said about not interrupting. Please let me finish. Okay. Unless Mr. Voorhees, and you said, well, you can't hold the gun because of that. But unless Mr. Voorhees was the one person who shot you and so forth, that really, the only thing that I'm concerned about is what happened or was alleged to have happened between you and Mr. Voorhees. You've made a number of comments about things that I think he disagrees with, just based on, he said some things you clearly disagree with. There's no question about that. You're saying some things, if I read his facial expression, that he clearly disagrees with. So I hear from you both, and then I have to decide, what to do based on what's presented. You gave some indication, and the only thing in front of me here right now is a petition, his petition. And you've said you've been prevented from, the city of Olympia, they don't do anti-harassment orders. I have no idea what the circumstances are around. I've not even known, I didn't even know who you were before you walked in here, and I certainly didn't know anything about this injury before you took your bandage off and started showing it to me, and I have no idea what or if the city of Olympia is going to do anything about it. I don't know anything about that. It wouldn't be the city of Olympia anyway. It'd probably be the Thurston County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, because a wound like that, the city of Olympia only deals with misdemeanors or gross misdemeanors, but that looks a little bit far beyond that if a criminal act occurred, and that'd be with the Thurston County Prosecutor's Office. So there's that. So what I need to know from you is and I'm going to have you identify yourself again. I'm going to write that down just to make sure we have the right person here. And so the options today are go forward. I'll hear his testimony. I'll hear your testimony. I'll hear Mr. Maloney's testimony. And by the way, been looking through this, I didn't actually see, unless I saw a bunch of pictures of the someone who I assume was Mr. Voorhees, and there's a pictures of the truck and so forth. And I'd like to see where the complaint is. Okay. You said you'd made a complaint to
UPS
yes.
on the 24th.
Okay. So what I need to know on the 24th of October or September?
September.
Thank you. Give me just a minute. When did you file that complaint?
I filed that complaint.
No, with the court. Did you file it with the court?
No, I never filed with the complaint. I've been in a hospital. I filed that with UPS.
All right.
For me, that was the end of it. They said they encouraged me to follow up and get the DO if I saw.
Okay, so hang on. I'm just going to stop you. I misunderstood you. When you say you filed the complaint, I thought it was filed in the court so I could see it. I would be curious to see it. But anyway, so the issue today is we're going to go forward with this single petition. Or you said that clearly you've been experiencing health issues. That I don't need to be a doctor to see that. And
which was also the delay in the service.
Okay.
I wasn't avoiding service.
So come back to where I'm at here. And if you want time to create a course of action, then I'll allow that. Or we're just going to hear this single petition here today.
I don't understand what you mean by course of action.
Well, you've said some things you wanted to do but haven't been allowed to because of your surgery. I'm going to give you, and again, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to give you advice. But there's some certain things you said you wanted to do but haven't been able to do given your and if I might ask, and I apologize if I'm intruding, when was your surgery on that hand? It looks to me really recent.
I was airlifted September 9th following getting shot in a road rage incident west side of Olympia. That individual still has not been arrested. I've come to accept that with my skin color.
Again, I just want to know when
I had a surgery.
Crap,
I had a surgery on the 24th. I had a surgery on 3rd or 4th. So I'm now down to the partial amputation of 20% of the hand. Hopefully I'm done with surgeries.
So what do you, and again, I need some direction to you as to where you want to proceed here today. The only thing I'm deciding today is if we proceed is whether or not Mr. Voorhees gets an order, and that's it.
I want you to dismiss
that's
this
not
based
going to
on
happen.
a complete lack of evidence.
No, that's not going to happen.
There
Nice
is
try.
no evidence.
Nice try.
It has not met the benchmark and the threshold of evidence needed. The person did not provide the correct name.
So hang on,
The person did not.
just a minute. Okay. So if we want, I'm telling you, that's the one thing. I'll hear the testimony, and if I decide at the conclusion of the testimony from him, and I'll swear in, I'll hear from him, and then I'll hear from you, then I'll decide whether or not an order is appropriate or not. And Mr. Maloney, I don't mean to cut you out there, Mr. Maloney. I'll hear from you too. Then I decide. But just to dismiss it right now at the start is not. And if he had the wrong name, he had the right person. You're the person he wanted.
Who is the right person, Your Honor? There were no descriptors. There was no descriptors given. Not of clothing, not of ethnicity, not of height, not of any visible identifying thing.
Alright, and that's where we're going to call it, because that guy's driving me insane. If I remember, we'll try to pick him up again tomorrow. But until then, please make sure you do like, share, and subscribe. Help us get to the goal of 50,000 views, 1,000 subscribers. Suboxy sends us nice red presents we can send to y'all. Google puts us on the algorithms. Until tonight, like, share, and subscribe. Be kind to one another and release the crackers. As we march along this afternoon, and every afternoon here from day one. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you tonight.